how's it going, guys? I hope your day is going well. And today the video we're touching on are some of the biggest challenges that I've actually faced within the last 3 years of outsourcing to the Philippines to virtual assistants. And these are the top ones that just really come to my mind. And when you're outsourcing, I think a lot of people have like a really negative way of thinking about outsourcing because maybe they have not been able to overcome some of these issues. And it's sad because as an entrepreneur, our job is to really overcome obstacles, right? That's what we get paid for ultimately. And I see, I have talked to a few people who have actually, used virtual assistants in the past, and then they give up because they can't figure out how to solve something, or maybe they're a poor communicator and they're just not willing to work on themselves. And, that just kind of reflects on them as a person just in general. So a lot of times, the issues that we run into, there's really nothing wrong with outsourcing or virtual assistants. It's usually just our lack of trying to get over these biggest challenges. And a lot of my time now when I'm talking to people about outsourcing is really spent helping people kind of overcome these mental hurdles, and most of them are actually just mental hurdles. So with that being said, let's go ahead and just dive straight into this. So problem number one that is extremely common, especially for people who have never outsourced in the past, is poor communication. Every time I've connected somebody who has never outsourced with somebody in the Philippines to help them out with work, there a lot of times there's complaints about, I did not, this didn't come out right, or I did not receive this file, or they did not call me. There's so many issues that happen, and I think that one of the things that we have to kind of understand too, first and foremost, is English is not the primary language in the Philippines. A lot of people know English, and it's pretty amazing to me how many people know English, especially because, my family comes from Nicaragua, and a majority of the people over there don't know how to speak English, especially as well as they do in the Philippines. So, but even with that being said, English is still not the first language there. So, I notice a lot of times when people talk to my virtual assistants, when I'm allowing them to help somebody, or maybe maybe I've helped somebody hire a virtual assistant, is they speak to them like they're American, but really we have to understand that these people don't understand us as well as we understand each other. So we have to adapt, because if we want to get this if we want to get this highly skilled work done correctly, we have to learn how to communicate with them. Just like there's things that they have to cater to for us, we have to cater to them, especially in terms of like communication. Okay. And not just communicating like verbally, right? Because verbally, that's just one challenge. What I say to you, what I ask you, what I type, that's really just one challenge. Okay. A whole other challenge is, how do you communicate? How do you communicate like projects, right? I had assigned a virtual assistant for one of my friends in commercial real estate, and one of my friends basically, he was asking this virtual assistant to go on this website and just scrape a whole bunch of data for him so that he can use it to call on the prospects so that he can try to sell their real estate. So the virtual assistant didn't save the photos how the real estate agent wanted, and the real estate agent's thinking like, man, this guy has like no common sense. He didn't even save the photos. Exactly how I wanted them. And I said, wait, but did you have enough common sense to tell the virtual assistant to save the photo in that spot? It didn't happen. Okay, so that's like another example of poor communication. And I used to struggle with communication a lot, especially when we're doing like very big projects. At the beginning, when I first started working with virtual assistants and we're knocking out little things here and there, it's easy. You know, you can keep track of everything on one Skype communication, you know, on one channel of communication, and it's not a problem. But once you start growing and getting more projects, it starts getting complicated. And that's, you know, for me, a big part of how I solved that problem was through operations, making sure that everybody is following certain steps as we're going through projects and sticking to those steps, so that everybody knows where everybody's at on a project. So, you know, these are problems that can be solved. And you know, we deal mainly with website design, graphic design, and a lot of like marketing type things. And you might be like in a different industry, for like accounting, for example, and communication is just as important, especially if you're dealing with handling business numbers for a business. So, you know, that's definitely one of the biggest issues that I've actually ran into when it comes to outsourcing. Okay, and I could touch a lot more on poor communication. This is just a, you know, real brief kind of touch on poor communication. But seriously, like, I think one of the most important things if you're going to be successful with outsourcing your work is having excellent communication skills, over communicating as well, you know, making sure that you get your point across. Okay.